battling just a little bit of a head cold, but we're going to start the same way we always start. I'm going to prime my face. I use the Seint setting spray to prime, and all I do is, crazy enough, and I love this method, I will strictly spray it in my hand and just wipe it on my face and then let it dry. Another product that I have been absolutely loving is my pharmacy. It's called the ProtoFit eyeshadow primer. Love it. This is such a good eyeshadow primer. It really is. Hey Jessica! It is got the best, I feel like, texture because it just dries. It's like no transfer, but as soon as you smooth it onto your eyes, Jess, this is your pharmacy eyeshadow primer. I guess you use it and love it, but I mean, it is like the real deal. I feel like this is one of the best eyeshadow primers that I have really ever used. It just leaves such a good blank slate, and then it just kind of dries to us like a almost a satiny powdery finish. I don't know, but it's just enough grip for your eyeshadow to stay on. It is like the bomb. So now that we're primed, eyelids, face, let's go over exactly what to expect if you get a color match form from me. If I give you a color match form, or if you say, match me, here's my picture, and you give me your makeup-free selfie, you could use my color match form, or you can just send it through me. I get it through Messenger and messages all the time. But what I would do is I would match you with, and I kind of want to give you an expectation of cost too. That way, whenever you get your stuff in, it's not so overwhelming, because I tend to give you a list of options that would work for you, but then you can kind of pick what you want. But I'm going to give you what I think would be the perfect starter kit, and then that way you can kind of add to it, or if you something you don't want, then you don't have to get it. But I just kind of want you to understand. So let's just say you come to me and you say, I want to match me with makeup. I'm going to give you a customized palette. So I would match you with a main highlight, a brightening highlight, a contour to put on, like, you know, your cheekbones and your nose, or your forehead, you know, where you contour, draw shadows, a lip and cheek color, and a bronzer. So I would really recommend 510s. With the 510s, I would recommend a brush and then a magnetic palette. So I always throw in also the Perfector sponge, because I feel like this is a great tool to use whenever you are blending your makeup out, you're picking up any excess product. This sponge too, oh, it's such a great quality sponge. But the entire kit would be $123 plus tax. So this is what I would say. We're gonna pretend like I'm matching myself. So I would order my main highlight, which is the color Sandy, and I would get this 10. And so this is $14. So my main highlight color of Sandy, I would get it, it would go into my palette. My brightening highlight color would be Sunlit. Another $14. So now we're up to $28. Then I would go in with what my contour I would be matched with. I'm going to use the color Indigo because it's a little bit scary. These colors kind of look scary, but that's what I want to show you. They're not as scary when they blend out as they look in the tins. This is one of our darker contours, but it's really pretty. So it's Indigo. So this is a magnetic palette. These are little tins, metal tins. They pop right in. So this would be $42 for these 3 colors because they're $14 each. It's very affordable, because if you went and bought a contour at Sephora or Ulta, or, you know, it would be $30+. And if you got one at Walmart, it would probably be 10, you know, or a drugstore, it would be 10. Sometimes it's even more expensive than that. Then I'd also match you with a lip and cheek color that can be used on your lips and cheeks, lips or cheeks, eyeshadows, whatever you wanted to use. And I would say this is what I think would look good on your skin tone, but usually I will give you a couple of options for you to pick. You can pick one, you can pick two, you could say I don't want one, but I would give you the option of what I think would probably look really good on you. And if you say I like rosy colors, I would try to give you, you know, kind of give you what you like. And then I'd also say sometimes I think this looks pretty on you. So this is the color Sandstone Lip and Cheek. I'm gonna pop that in my palette. So with this that I have now is 14, 14, 14, 14, so that's $56. So this would be $56 right here for your full face. 56. Now once you spend 56 on the 10s, anything over 55 you start earning credits towards your compact. So you're going to have a compact credit of $10 right now with this with these 4 10s. But then the next thing that I always suggest is to go in to our bronzer collection. It's in the section that's called bronzer collection, and you would get the Bella bronzer and the blush and bronzer brush. It's a dual-ended fiber bristles, super high quality. So this right here is $40. This retails for $36. This would retail for $14. But if you buy in the collection combo, you get them for $40, so you save $10. So I always suggest to get that because this is a great beginner brush. And then the bronzer is something that I think you always would need to help not only even out your skin tone, but it will also, you know, give you a little bit of a glow if you need to make your makeup a little darker, or how you know, if you need to even out skin tone. This is perfect for that. So here is the bronzer. We would pop this into the palette as well. I'm just going to put this in here. So, and then the next thing, so this would end up being, what I say, you would have 56 here, and then you would have 40 for the brush and the bronzer, so that would be $96. Then I would always suggest to get the Perfector sponge. If you already have one or have a sponge, I mean, again, I think this is a great quality one, and I think it's worth every single penny that you would pay of it. But if you already had a sponge that you like to use, you know, like a Pure or Real Techniques or something, I mean, those work good too, right? You know, it's not the only sponge out there. I feel like it is, but it's not. But this is $14, so that would be $110 right now. And then you would add the cost of your palette. So the palette would retail for $20. You know, I would always suggest this one because this is a double decker. So you fill up this side right here with your 5 colors, but you also have another side that you can put your powders, your like these are my, this is an illuminator and an eyeshadow, but you can put powders on one side and your creams on the other, but you have room to grow because you will love it and end up wanting to buy it later on. It's always free shipping. And so with it being free shipping, then you can say, hey, I think I want to add another color. I think I want to add another lip and cheek. And then you can throw that in and you've got room in a palette because you've got one big enough. So this particular palette, the size, if you get a silver one, it's a little bit more, but we're just going to talk about the size. Well, it would be $23. But since you have got these qualifying 10s, you would get a $10 credit. So you could get one of these little double deckers that hold 12 10s, 6 on each side, the brush, and the Perfector sponge for $123. All of this for $123, complete full face, plus tax and free shipping. So that's how it would be whenever you got it in. So kind of, if I send you your color match, I may also say, hey, we have the setting spray. I use this as a primer. Or hey, you've got blue eyes. These colors would look beautiful on your blue eyes. Or, you know, you might want an illuminator to go in and do the highlights of your cheeks and your nose and your Cupid's bow. I will give you those suggestions that I think will look good for you too, but those are your add-ons. And now again, if you didn't get this, you could save $14. If you decided that you didn't want a bronzer, you would save really $4 because the bronzer ends up being $4 once you get the brush because the brushes are made to work with the creams. So I would highly always recommend. But you could get a smaller palette than this and save a few more dollars too. But you don't really save a whole lot with a palette, so that's why I think it's always a good idea to at least get an 8 to 12 10 and I would always just go with the 12-10. That way you can fit the 5 that I would always suggest. And when I give you your recommendations, I'll put a little star beside them, and I'll say I would go for sure with the ones with the star. The rest of the stuff is add-ons. So now that you've got your makeup in, you've put it in your palette, and you're ready to go, now what? We're going to use exactly what I would give you if we're going to use the tools that you would have if I suggested this is what you need, other than mascara and probably lip gloss if you had it. But I'm just going to use this brush so that you can kind of see, well, I got it now, how do I use it? Because a lot of people's like, it's kind of scary. It's really not, but it seems like it when you look at these colors. So now that I've got my palette built, we're going to go in and apply. So I'm going to first do my contour. You can start with your contour, you can start with your foundation color, whatever you want to do, but this is the way that I typically will start, but not always. So I'm going to go in with this crazy color. It's called Indigo, and this is going to be my contour. I'm going to pinch my brush a little bit because I'm going to go right along my cheekbones, right at the bottom of it. And I'm just going to kind of draw. And I kind of pinch it so it's not too big. Get my hair out of the way. I'm just going to kind of add a little bit of definition, and I'm adding to the already shadows that I have. If you don't know where your cheekbones are at, you should be able to feel them. Sometimes you can see a small shadow, and you kind of want to go just slightly above that shadow. You can even kind of drag it down a little bit if you wanted to give an angle. I wouldn't go Maleficent on you or anything, but you know, you can kind of draw it down. If you have round cheeks, kind of angle it down more. But if you just want, you know, just to have a structured contour because your face is already slim, you can kind of come out a little bit more horizontal. If you have a large forehead, you'll want to contour more your forehead. But even if you don't have a large forehead, the contour gives you a little bit of definition, and adding that shadow, it just gives you a 3D makeup where it's not flat look. Nothing crazy. I always like to go along my jawline just because I feel like I've got a little goozle here. So I kind of like to draw it out, and then right here where it kind of hangs down, unfortunately, I'll kind of shimmy back and forth across that a little bit. It's nothing scary. And then still with it being pinched, I will kind of go on each side of my nose. You don't have to do the nose. Not everybody's good with the nose. I'm not good with the nose, but I do it because a lot of people want to kind of contour their nose. And I know it looks kind of crazy right now. It'll blend out. This is a super dark contour color. I usually don't contour my nose with this color, but it works. So now that we've got that, I'm going to blend it in just a little bit. You don't want to over blend it because that defeats the whole purpose of doing it. Now I'm going to go in with my main highlight shade, and that's the color Sandy. So I would match you with a main shade that would be used everywhere that I did not contour. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to do everything in one layer. I will leave a little bit of blank spaces where I want to do some pop brightening highlights right down the center of my face and right here under my eyes. But the rest of it, I'm just going to try to do just one layer of makeup. So now I'm going to go in. I didn't even wipe my brush off. I'm going to kind of leave that a little bit blank. Even with my cheeks right here above where I contoured, I'm going to kind of leave that a little bit bare as well, because I will go back and put my lip and cheek on that. And I'm just going right on my forehead. It doesn't take a lot. And you don't have to have perfect skin, but this is going to really enhance your skin and make it look natural and pretty and even. Okay, now I'm going to go in and I'm going to use my finger just because this brush I feel like is too wide to go down my nose. Friday night, Zazu. I feel like this brush is too wide to go down my nose, so I'm going to use my finger for that. And this is the color Sunlit. So I would give you a brightening highlight, or sometimes I may call it a pop, but it's a brighter shade than what you normally would wear. And you'll see when I put it on, it's bright. And I'm just going down the very center of my face. It's where I want the light to be reflected. And you don't need a lot. I'm just barely patting it. So there we go. It's pretty much most of my face right there. And I'm gonna blend it in. Just kind of using a little bit of stippling, a little bit of circular motion. This is the best for blending. You can blend with either side. But I feel like this applies so well because it's a nice medium coverage. You don't have to worry about overusing the product. So there we go. I'm gonna leave that because I want it to be seen. But I wanted to blend it out. I'm gonna put just a little bit more on my nose. Sometimes I tend to blend that a little too much. My nose is red too because I'm on steroids. Not the kind for working out. I need to be the kind working out. I need to be working out some. Okay, now that I've done that, that's my face. I've pretty much got it. This is where I would go in with my perfector sponge, and I would go through and I would pounce. I kind of feel sometimes because it's not even dry. It doesn't feel like I even have anything on. This is so lightweight. But I just go through and I pat to make sure that there's no harsh lines and that I've got all my excess product picked up. And what I do with this, and I wish I would have brought a bowl of water in here to show you guys, but before I start putting my makeup on, I always put this under running water, squeeze it a few times to where it gets really big, and then I squeeze every bit of the water out that I can, and then I get a towel or a paper towel and I squeeze it to where there's nothing else in it. So it only feels a little bit cool. It's damp, but you really can't tell it's damp. There's absolutely no wetness or anything. There's not gonna be a trace of wet on it. If it's too wet, it'll pull your makeup off. So if you find yourself sometimes using a sponge and you're like, oh, it's because it's too wet, if it pulls your makeup off. This is really just to press it into your skin. All right, so now that I've got that done, I'm gonna use the fluffier side of this brush, and I'm gonna use my bronzer. This is the Bella bronzer, and I'm just gonna use a slight circular motion, and I'm gonna bronze right over where I contoured. This is a very sheer color. Doesn't have any pigment in it like our foundations and contours, but it's just enough to give you a very light glow. And just a little bit goes a long way. And sometimes when you think, oh, I put on too much, it blends out so easy. It's because it's so sheer. And I always go down my neck as well because my neck's lighter. And you can see on my brush there's not much in there, but I just kind of barely tap on it because it's so creamy that just a smidgen on there. We'll just blend right out. So now you look like you've been at the beach, right? I wish I'd been at the beach. I love the beach. Okay, so there. That's pretty much my full face, except for my cheeks. So now we're gonna go in with this color Sandstone. It is beautiful. It is like a kind of a, well, it looks like sandstone, if you know what sandstone looks like. So I'm gonna use the smaller end of this same brush, the one that I applied everything with, and I'm just gonna barely tap in it. See, there's very little on my brush. And I'm not wiping my brush off in between all this. I'm just going back and forth because these brushes are so good that when you put the stuff on your face, it really just kind of comes off your brush onto your face, so you don't have to worry about it being a lot of transfer. But this is a really pretty color, and you can make it as soft as you want it or as dark and dramatic as you want it. It's my favorite color. You hear my husband there? He's hacking his lungs up. We've both had the little bit of the, we've had the cruds. I'm telling you, the cruddies. Something's going around. Other than COVID and RSV, it's like the cruds is going around too. So it's just a pretty little flush of a color. And I could go dark, if I wanted to go darker, to me that's fine. That's usually where I would stop. But if I wanted to go darker, you can just build it. It's so pretty on tan skin, but you can, even if you're fair, you can just use a little bit. Okay, now, since we're done with that, that is pretty much my whole face. I would now get my sponge again, because I just go back over a couple times. I always get my sponge and go back over. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to use just an extra brush that we have. It's the multitasker, but I want to show you that I'm going to use the same stuff that I have in my palette here. I could go through and I could line my lips with the indigo contour, or I could line it with this Bella bronzer. I think I'm going to use this indigo contour because it's a little scary looking, and I want to show you that it doesn't have to be scary. So I'm just going to go around. He is in there, sounds like he is dying. I don't know if y'all can hear him or not, but he's on the phone talking to a friend that he hadn't talked to in a while. And so they're laughing about stuff, and every time he gets laughing, he gets to hacking. Okay. Like, all of our stuff is so versatile. You can use it for different things. So this is a contour that I used to create the shadows, to carve a little bit, and I'm also lining my lips with it. And then the lip and cheek color that I use on my cheeks will now be used on my lips. So this Sandstone, I'm just going to put this little same paddle in. I love this multitasker. Our brushes are just the best. But I'm just going to kind of go through and just give a little bit of color to my cheeks. I mean, to my lips. That's it. Now, I can go over with a gloss or something if I wanted to. I have a clear gloss I could put on, or we'll use my City Lips. I think I use this a lot because it's one of my favorites too. Just to have a little bit of gloss. So, other than the eyes, and I would suggest, oh, you got, I bet you got the 3D, Jess. I bet you got the one that has the one that was on sale. We had great sale. When they put those things on sale, they didn't last long because I mean, probably within hours, almost all of them except for one, I think, is sold out. So this is our hair, just to keep, for the sake of keeping this a shorter video, because we've kind of went through all the how to build a palette and all that stuff. I'm going to go in, I'm going to show This is one of my favorite eye looks. Yep. $20 you can't beat, because even at 30 cents, they're like this right here is our eyeshadow brush. Oh God, this is such a good brush. I think it's 18 or 21. I can't remember. But our main brushes like this right here is 36. We have a couple that are in 35, 36 range. That's still a good price for a one-sided brush, much less to get two sides that are both equally awesome. But this is the eyeshadow brush. And so like this could be an add-on if you wanted eyeshadows too. So this is one of my favorite eye combos that I do. It's super simple. It's great on blue eyes, but I'll be honest, this would be pretty on green and on brown as well. Grays, whatever color. So this is the color Oak. And this is an illuminator that you can also, if you wanted to pop on the highlights of your cheeks, which we're going to do right here, because you can do that. And we'll pop it right here on the inner corner as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this Oak, and I'm going to always tap off the excess, that way you won't have fallout. But I'm just going to put this in my crease. It's such a pretty brown, and it's like a cool brown, almost like a grayish brown. But oh, it's just so pretty and complimentary. So the reason I wanted to do this video tonight to kind of go through that is I think when people say, I want a color match, they don't really know what they're going to be expecting when they get their color match. And then when they get it, they're like, whoa, what's all this? Because it's a long list of stuff. That's why I try to make it personal and say, well, I put, stars by the things that I think that you need. But I really think that everything you would need for this full face palette and your brush and the sponge, like I said, $123 plus tax, you kind of have an idea of, hey, Lynn, you kind of have an idea of what to expect whenever you get it. And then when you get it, it's like you get it in the mail, you're like, oh great, now I got it. What do I do with it, Do you have my best girl Brinley over there? Susie! Oh, it's my best girl. And Hadley sat with me on Sunday. She just sat there, and she's just so sweet. She would just sit there and look at me. The sweetest little thing. The sweetest little cherub cheeks. Okay. So now I've put this is Oak. It's a gorgeous color right there. If I didn't want to do anything else other than pop on some mascara, that's all I would have to do. But we're going to go just a smidgen further, and I'm going to use that same highlighter that I just, kind of went over a few other places. I call it a highlighter. It's actually an illuminator in our books. But I'm going to put that on my eyelids for a little bit of shimmer. So see, I was able to use this as an illuminator on my cheeks, on my nose, and my Cupid's bow. And then I'm also going to use it as an eye color. And then if I wanted to do a little bit more of a deeper color, I could touch back into that Oak with this dense end, and I can just apply and make it just a little bit deepened. Because when I use this fluffy end, I can make it really soft and muted, and then I can apply a little bit more pigment with the color by using this dense end, and I can build it. But I don't usually get too crazy on my colors. So now I'm going to go under my eye, if I can just not stab myself. And it just kind of pulls your look together. I'm in this color Oak. Oh yeah, it is just such a pretty color on every eye color. And simple. So just two shadows. My favorite eye combo. The last thing, again, I go back through if I did have any extra fallout or anything, I could always get this brush and kind of sweep it. And I could always clean it up with a little bit of my, like one of my pop highlights. I could go up there and kind of, you know, clean up with that as well. I will set with a little bit of setting spray. I can use our Seint setting spray. This is what I use to prime my face. I know, isn't that pretty? It's very natural too. It's just a very natural look. Not everybody wants to go full glam, so you don't have to. But again, you can just take this brush. I feel like you just swirl it on your face. You know how the Bare Minerals always made it look so easy because you would just get the powder and just swirl it. Well, powder, when you've got texture, doesn't tend well. It just doesn't. And so the cream, the way it just takes on a second skin, it just looks natural. So that's what I like about it. But spray, setting spray, like I said, I prime my face with it as well. I'll kind of let it dry. Sometimes I'll set with a powder, sometimes I won't. And then I'm going to top it off with just a little bit of mascara. And we're good to go. This little compact's got a mirror in it, so I'll use that. So I won't get all up in your business. This is the Red Aspen mascara I ordered from a friend of mine that sells it. I really like it. It's called Pump It Up Maggie. And I had saw some really good reviews on it, and I like it. It's, you know, you have to order it from a rep, of course. But if, I love the pharmacy ones too. And then one that I really also like that you can get drugstore or Amazon is the Lash Princess from Essence. I feel like it is probably one of the absolute best mascaras on the market for like $5. It's crazy. Hey, April. So that's it. That's my face in a nutshell. I'm going to spend 35 minutes, but I feel like we went through a good bit of information to show exactly how you would build your palette. Again, with the starter kit that I would suggest for these, for the palette, the brush, perfector sponge, and the 5 colors that I would match you with would be $123 plus tax, free shipping. And again, you could add on eyeshadows, extra brushes, other stuff like that too. But this is always what I always start my matches off with, because I just feel like it's just the perfect starter face. And if you went to somewhere like Sephora or Ulta and got everything from your blush, because this is dupes is a lipstick too. Your blush, your eyeliner, your lip liner, your cheeks, your contour, a concealer, the foundation, your base, you would easily spend $200 or more for all of that, because there's so many things that are dual purpose. So if you're interested and you want a color match, shoot me a message. You can put a message. Oh, you just got home? You've been out and about, ain't you? You ain't missed nothing because you didn't know all the spiel. You didn't know how it all works anyway. But if you are interested, and you can comment below, you want more information, or shoot me a message and stuff, and we can get you all situated. I'd be glad to help you. I'll be your personal makeup assistant, ready to assist. I can give you your customized palette of the colors that would be suited best for your needs, your skin tones, any problem areas that you want to work on, or anything like that. We can work it out. So, you are a night owl. I mean, it's 9:30. You just getting home. Miss Pris. But anyway, it's been another great Friday night. Super glad everybody has come out and joined me, hopped on. And so I will see you guys later.